Hi, this is Godfrey, your trusted mentor and the coach for the Candidate Fast Track program. This is the Candidate Fast Track system that we implement where we help candidate engineers, technologists, and technicians to successfully complete TERs, TEOs, and engineering reports within 6 weeks without confusion and wasting time. We've got this program that we've developed where we take you through the 3 phases, the 9-step. Each phase has got 3 steps for us to coach and help you to write your Excel reports, complete those reports within the period of 6 weeks, all right, so that you are able to complete your application form and submit to Excel for final review and becoming a registered professional, either as a PR Eng, PR Tech, or PR Technician. So what I'm sharing in these summary videos is just the summaries of the outcome, just to give you the ideas of how you can actually approach these various outcomes in your application form. So these are some of the candidates that I've worked with. These are some of the testimonials and recommendations that I've got from various candidates that worked with me, coaching, guiding them and helping them, reviewing their reports, making sure that their application form and all those reports are meeting Excel's requirements in terms of the content of the report. So I've got Nkosana Ngaba here, one of my candidates, who says the fast track system makes the process easy to follow. Okay, this process is very important. This is what he's talking about. It's the process that we take you step by step, you know what you need to do on each step in order to make sure that your report is meeting the requirements for successful registration. I've got Mondley here. He's registered as a certificated engineer, professional certificated engineer. He said, I tried on my own to do the reports without a mentor. He said, Mr. Godfrey helped me to understand each step of the report writing process through coaching and reviewing my TEOs, my TERs, and my engineering report. So he's registered. We've got Ivan here. Ivan says, challenging. It was really challenging for me to align my work experience with Excel's 11 outcome. And we have found in most of the report that we have reviewed, coached, and helped the candidates that people are battling in addressing the outcome in a proper way. So we have a process that we show you how to do that. All right. We've got here Askwala Chivasa, and he says, you made the application and the interview for registration as a PR Tech Eng with Excel relatively smooth for me and was very helpful. It's all because of the process, ladies and gentlemen, that we just design, and we follow that just to help you to make sure your report is done properly. I've got Busima Shekho, and he says he has been a good mentor, a referee during the Excel registration period. I wouldn't have made it without you. Much appreciated. These are all guys that work with us, and we just take them through the process that we've designed. Simple as that. Then we've got Tabo Baba, the last candidate. I've got so many guys, but I only selected a few. And he says the system really works and saves a lot of time. Of course, it has to save a lot of time because we know exactly what are the requirements for each step that we have designed to make sure that your report, it's done properly, the content is correct, and it's meeting Excel's requirement. So if you want to know more about the real people and the real results, go to our LinkedIn profile on this link. Then you can see more of the candidate that we have worked with. And you can probably also see some videos that we have. But we also encourage you to go to our YouTube channel, and then you can subscribe, and then you'll get some of good materials that we share, the tips, some of the videos where we give you some guidance on how actually you can plan and prepare for your professional application form. And this video is going to be downloaded in that YouTube channel. So every content video we do, we put it in our YouTube channel so that potential candidates, they can go in there, they can learn a thing or two, and then we are very passionate about this process. We want to help people to do these reports properly so that they can submit that to Excel. So let's quickly discuss just a summary on outcome number 7. Okay, this is how to implement legal and regulatory requirements. That's outcome number 7. How do you, on your report, indicate or demonstrate that you are able to apply the legal or the regulations in your engineering activity or in your work. So we say apply and comply with OSH Act regulation, which is for safety. You need to demonstrate how do you comply in your work that you do in terms of safety. How do you actually apply that regulation in your work? All right. There's local authorities, there's bylaws, there's standards and codes of practice, including building regulation, factory regulation, machinery and works regulation, labor relation act, environmental conservation, health and safety acts, and all these regulations are important at the various stages of your project for various engineering activities. You must know how do you apply those regulations properly. For instance, let's take, for example, I'm a mechanical professional technologist. I have experience in construction, specifically on conveyor designs, installation and commissioning. So one of the regulation is a machinery and works regulation. And one of the requirements in this regulation is that every rotating part, in a machine or equipment, mechanical equipment, any rotating part, it must be guarded. That's the requirement of the regulation. You must make sure that that rotating part has got a guard for safety purposes. So in my report, I'm able to write and explain how does I implement that regulation in my work. So you've got to understand how to implement these different regulations and legal requirements in your area of work. Right. The second part, implement company standard and procedures, instructions, drawings and operation and maintenance manual available and procedures. Company sales regulations and code of conduct, industry specifications, work instruction. People working on site are strictly controlled regarding health and safety. Safety measures like barricading and warning signs must be used and maintained. So you can see in my little sketch here, one of the regulations, if you're working on a project, you must have all your PPEs, which is your personal protective equipment. You must have your hard hats, especially in an areas where, there's crane, picking up stuff from one point to another, one section to another. Things may fall on your head. People working at heights, they may lose a hammer which can come and hit you in the head and actually injure you or cause damage to your head. You have eardrums where in an area of your work where there's noisy, so you've got to have earplugs so that you are able to protect yourself from noise. Protective glasses where there's grindings, to protect yourself, your gear, your overalls, your boots, your gloves, and actually a reflector so that people may be able to see you. Sometimes people work on a project until it's late at night. So the reflector is important so that people may be able to identify you. So you've got to be able to understand and explain how does these legal requirements and regulations are implemented and how actually you are using them to comply with all the legal requirements. Okay, the other one is risks are mostly associated with elevated structure. Okay, people that are working 1 meter and above in terms of height, they've got to have their harnesses, their safety harnesses, so that they are able to protect themselves from falling. All right. Subsistence of soil, sometimes you find that the soil needs to be checked by the geotech so that you make sure that whatever activity you do, the geotech registered engineer has analyzed the soil, has checked and given you the report to say these are the condition of the soil and this is what you can do in this area. Electrocution of human beings and moving parts of machinery. Okay, in a project, sometimes you work on what you call a brownfield project where you are doing maintenance or you are doing new refurbs. It's a live plant. You've got to make sure that you protect yourselves from electrocution. Every time you're going to work, you need to put, a warning sign to say someone is working in this area. Don't put the power on, or have some sort of a warning sign to make sure that people that are working around that area, they are aware that there's an activity that is taking place. Seek advice from knowledgeable, experienced experts, suppliers, vendors, and other engineers, research institutions, and consultants on risk management strategies to achieve engineering work for a project. All right. So some of the activities, really, it's important. Actually, every engineering activities poses a risk. So you've got to do your risk assessment first whenever you are working in a particular area. Know what are the risks, how are you going to mitigate those risks. Okay, so it's important that you know the strategies, you understand the risk management process, how is it implemented in your area of work or area of practice. Safety officers and other responsible persons appointed in accordance with the OSH Act usually confirms or checks that the instructions are in line with the regulation. So if you've got a safety officer or a risk management consultant, they will come to the area before you begin to do your work or perform that particular engineering activity to identify these risks, document down the risks assessment plan, the mitigation, how are you going to deal with this? For instance, one of the risks might be suppliers that are coming to site to do the work. The first thing that we must make sure that they've got their safety file up to date. The safety files are put together and they are complying with the requirements of the OSH Act in terms of safety. They must go for induction, so that they understand what are the do's and the don'ts in this site or the area where the engineering activity is being performed. So it's very critical that whatever engineering activities you are doing on site, you are complied to all the legal requirements for that particular project or for that particular engineering work. Understand them, know how to implement them, and then you are able to, answer this outcome number 7, which is implementing legal and regulatory requirements. Yeah, so some of the stuff that you can identify, the tools that you use for your work, the progress reports, the process flow, the work breakdown structures, your planning Gantt charts, your quality requirements, your site team, and then understand all these 6 important factors for each engineering activity. You need to know that for each activity, you must have the scope of work for that activity. You need to know how long it's going to take to complete that activity. You also need to know how much it's going to cost to complete that activity, the risk involved in that activity, the resources that you will need to complete that activity, and also the quality requirements you need to comply and adhere to in order to produce the quality outcome for that particular activity. So this is very important. It is very critical for your outcome number 7. If you want to know more, I invite you to go to, we've got a pre-recorded webinar that we did some times ago. Here's a link, go there, and then you'll learn a lot of what we are sharing in that link. If you need more information, how we can help you, we can coach you, we can guide you with the professional registration applications, send us an email on this email address, and then we are able to engage with you and see how we can assist you by showing you the process that we use to coach, guide, and help the candidates who wants to register with EXA as professional engineers, professional technologists, and professional technicians, and also including certificated professional engineer. This is just a process we've developed, and it covers all the disciplines of engineering because it's just a general process that we have designed, and it will help you really to get your ducks into the row. I'll see you on the next outcome when I'm explaining the summary of it. Cheers.